Howdy doody, how are we going on? How's everybody doing? Welcome along. It is Sunday, 4 o'clock. I'm here standing in for Bex, who's on her travels at the moment. I'm going to do my best to simulate the movements you've had this week for your sway stretch. Bear with me 1 second. Let me just get a little bit of extra light in here, shall I? Let's just get a little bit of extra light. There we go. The blinds have been set incorrectly to block sun out. So correctly from that perspective, but incorrectly because it was a little bit dark. We don't want a little bit dark, do we? So, welcome. Do you know what? I don't know what it's about snacking, but I always seem to have a cup of tea on the go, don't I? Just finishing a cup of tea. Gets you in the mood, I think it is. Right, so this is your 4 p.m. movement stand. Now, if you're catching up, as always, pop us a comment in, let us know what's going on, where you are, how things are, and we'll come back to you. Mrs. P, I can see you're in the house now. I've just been having a chat with Bex, and so I look at her snack from yesterday just to remind myself. Do you know, no one puts Bex in a corner, do they? No one puts Bex in a corner. She did brilliantly, that tight, cramped space. Bex, you're going to have to start going purple. I'm telling you, you've got to go purple, at least the space. Excuse me a second, I know Bex is not a purple person. She'll know what I'm talking about. Just finish this last bit of tea. So welcome along to your 4 p.m. sway and stretch. George, I can see you're in the house as well. This is the last one of the week. Whole new week tomorrow. We start again. I have no idea what shift I'm supposed to be on, so until I know what shift I'm supposed to be on, it lets me know what I can actually do and what I can't do because of work commitments, and then I can sort of slot in and try and offer help and support to relieve other people as well if I can. You see, I'm very fortunate to work with two wonderful ladies as far as this is concerned. I'm very fortunate to work with lots of lovely, wonderful people, but two very wonderful, very supportive ladies as far as mental wish is concerned, who now I've gone back and taken on some additional work, which has meant I don't have the availability I used to have. Take up the slack. They're amazing, aren't they? Anyway, you're going to be crying. This is our 4 p.m. movements sway and stretch snack. Now, I've got no comments coming up, so I'm just going to try and switch off and switch back on again, see if they come back up for me. And I've got no comments by the looks of it. I don't know what's going on with the old Facebooky lately. Sometimes I get comments, sometimes I don't. I'm sure you are commenting. I will catch up with those afterwards. I'll keep an eye on the time, so let's have a quick look at the time as well, so see where we are from that perspective. I've got sort of like about 30 seconds left, I guess. So, I'm standing in for Bex this afternoon. Bex is travelling at the moment, but she'll be back with you tomorrow. What snack she's doing, I do not know. I don't know myself what snack times I'm supposed to be on tomorrow, and as I'll just say, till I know what snack times I'm supposed to be on, I don't know what I can do and what I can't do. So we'll sort that out later. There's usually a little message goes flying around on a Sunday evening as to what we can do and what we can't do. Anyway, we must be getting on for 4 o'clock now. Let's have a quick check and we'll get ourselves going. I know there's 7 of you there. I'm sorry I cannot see your comments, but I will come back to you and say hello to you afterwards as well. So let's get ourselves ready to go, shall we? So as always, standing or seated, fixed external support, sturdy chair. Alright, nothing around us that can cause us any issues, and I've got a bit more space than the Bex has had over the last couple of days by the looks of it, the video I've just seen. This is our 3-dimensional movement, but as always we start with circulation boosting. But before we even do that, we look at our posture. So how are we standing, how are we sitting? Standing wise, we've got our heels lined up with the hips, lining up with the knees as well, growing a little bit taller. I always wanted to be a little bit taller, so just got that extra inch or so there, and I can tuck my belly in that space I've just created. Lifting the shoulders up, back and down, opens the chest, opens the rib cage, gives us that good postural position. In seated, it's a case of bringing the back away from the chair. So rather than sitting into the chair and just letting the back do the support, let's support the upper body. From there, lift and shift to bring ourselves into the front third. And once we're sat in this front third of the chair, let's line everything up. Get ourselves into a position where we feel strong and tall. Okay, start with our circulation boosting. Heel coming off the floor. Excuse me, I can feel a cough coming on. Heel coming off the floor, coming up onto the balls of the feet and the toes. Get us started with that movement. Now, as always, we start small, we make it bigger. So from here, we're going to take it into a bigger movement. Lifting the heels away from the floor, starting to get some movement down through those ankles, allowing them to point down towards the floor. Same in standing and in seated, and in standing, let's pop an arm in, driving the elbow backwards, getting some movement happening. We're going to chop and change those arms, and if we're in standing without support and seated, we can do it as many times as we want. But if we are in standing using support, then we just got to think about always having a hand. So hands down before the other hand comes off. It's quite easy. If it's in front of you, you can chop and change as many times. But if it's to the side, we need to plan it a little bit more. So let's lose the march. Let's lose the arm. Bring the march down a little bit smaller. Turn it into steps that we start to turn in towards our support to change onto the other side, and then away we go again on the other side. And then finally, if we want to, in standing and seated, if we're not using support in standing, we can put both arms, both legs together. So more of the body moving, more energy required for the body. This is a great thing to do. So it's a thing to spurt in through the day. It's not just about our snacks. If you've been sat down for a while, have a little bit of a burst of energy given to yourself, yeah? Have a boost of that circulation, get everything moving, get everything loosened up, and everyday activities should feel a little bit easier to do. 2 minutes, 3 minutes max, start to bring it down, lose the arms, make the march a little bit smaller, bring it back into that heel raise, and let's bring it to a pause. Breathe. Deep breaths in and out. But just remember, you shouldn't be out of breath at that point, so you shouldn't be like this. You might just feel you need to take a couple of deep breaths. That's what you're aiming for. Now, in standing, let's get this good postural position back in, so heels in line with knees again. If we start with this movement here, let's just have a look at the arms that Bex has been doing with you over the last couple of days. So from here, we've got this float up, and this heel of the hand leading down. So this is up and away. And we can bring it into a bit of a raise, and as we float it down, we push it away a little bit. You can feel my fingers working there as well. I'm going to splay my fingers a little bit, get some movement into those fingers as well. So this is our first movement that we have. It's this lift, and it's this raise and this lower down, but the heel of the hand leads with that. That was the first arm movement. So perhaps we want to do 3 of those. Yeah, and we've got this movement happening there, bringing it up, away a little, and lowering down. From there, take a pause, we can take it into a rotational movement. So the hand comes across and back in. Now the hips are staying still, look. I'm not shifting the weight from side to side. I've got a bit of a rotation going on here. If we have a look at it from the back, can you see it's that hand coming into the back? So again, with that, we'll do a few of those. So this heels in hips position, knees soften, rotate around, come back in. Now in seated, you might need to play with this a little bit, depending on whether you've got some arms in the chair. So in seated here, look, I haven't got the arms, I've got this little bit at the back here, so I just need to make sure that's okay for me and it's not going to cause me any issues. If it does, you might want to keep this hand by the side and just take it out to the side there to get that rotation. Listen to what you're working with, or work with what you're working with, yeah? So if the chair's not going to allow you to do that, adapt the move to what will work for you. So that was movement number 2. Then movement number 3 was this bringing the hand up and then the heel of the hand down, but we're coming across the body. So again, we can get that little bit of rotation into the hips if we want to. Coming across and down. With the rotations more into the trunk really and then to the hips, isn't it? We don't want to twist those knees, remember. So that was our 3rd movement. Now from there, we have a look at the legs. So standing in this position here, we're going to take steps forward. So let's have a look at this without the arms firstly. We've got a step, we've got a step, and then we've got a step sideways. So coming from here, matching in with the arms, we've got a step forward as the arm comes up, another step forward, and then our 3rd step goes out to the side. That's when we switch to those rotations across. Okay, and then to finish it off, we're going to bring ourselves back in to a starting position. So let's start to add those two together. So remember the arms again, we float up and we step away. Other hand comes up, we float up and we step away as we lower the wrist down. This time we're going to step sideways, and from there we take it into our rotations. One, and then a second one each side. And then from there we're going to take it into this final movement. So we have an up and a down, coming across the body with that rotation, and down, and on this third one we step back in to bring ourselves back in to that position with the heels in line with the hips. Final movement within there is a small coat off or jumper off position, yeah? So from here, bringing the hands up, coming across and down. So imagine you're grabbing hold of the bottom of your jumper, you're bringing it over your head and down. We don't have to take it that big. It can just come to about here. But again, heels of the hands leading down as you bring them back down. So you've got resistance, a little bit of resistance there as you do that as well. Now in seated, we've got all those same movements. And again, we can mirror those feet as well. So we can do a step. We can do a step. They're going to have to be a little bit littler, smaller even. Take it out to the side, bring it back in to reset it, and we're away. Okay, but probably still need to reset them, because then we can lead with the side. So whatever foot led first, second time round, the other foot will lead, other foot will follow, and then the step out comes to the other side. Okay, so just think about that in your seated position. All right, let's put it all together then and take it through. So standing tall, knees softened, we've got this lift and this step forward, remembering which foot we step forward on first. Coming up and pressing down. This time we step out to the side and then have a little pause there. Readjust those feet. Turn to the side. Bring the hands around the body. Last time here, and then from here we're going to take that hand, float it across and bring it back down. Float it across and bring it back down with the heel, and on this one we step back in to that hips width position, and this is where we have a quick break, pause, jumper off and press down to reset. From there I'm just going to take a step back so you don't lose my feet. We can start again on the other side. So the other side leads this time. Look, so the step out is going to come the other way. Coming through, heel down. Lifting, pushing away and heel down to bring us to there. From there, we can rotate side to side, taking it as we feel comfortable. And then from here, release, float up, heel down across the body. Float up, and again, remember you can get that rotation happening in the trunk with that. Float up, heel down, and this is where we step back in. Pause, jumper up, off, and press down. And there we go. That is your movement, your three-dimensional movement, your sway for this week. Let's move into our stretches from there. So starting off with the upper body, take the arms out in front, put one hand inside the other and just push away gently to feel that stretch across the top of your shoulders and top of your back. So where you should feel it is here really more than your shoulders. Don't know why I said shoulders, I just did. Just felt like it. It's because I'm going to do shoulders in a minute. From there, release. And this is where you'll feel it across the back of your shoulders, just gently easing this arm in towards you. So if I just tilt in so you can see. So from that forward motion there, what I've done is brought the hand in towards the body and then just use this other hand to draw it a little bit across the body so I can feel it into the back of my shoulder. Exactly the same in seated, and then release and change that across to the other side. So again, just gently draw it in towards you. Just feel that lengthening through the back of the shoulder. Once you've done that and held it for around about 12 to 20 seconds, we release. Hands into the small of the back. Now either palms away or palms in, whichever is more comfortable for you. And seated, you've got another option. As well as that, what you could do is just place your hands onto the chair at the side, just behind your bottom. Draw the shoulders back a little way, but the main movement then is to lift the chest, and that's where we get that stretch across the top of the chest. Lengthening and lifting, holding again, but not holding our breath, releasing out, and coming into our legs. So from our legs perspective, we have the calf. So in a standing position with our support by the side of us, we take a big step backwards, toe down, heel down. Put the heel down flat on the floor, keep the heel on the floor, get the toes to point in the same direction, and then bend that front knee and just allow yourself to lean into it. The front knee is going to come no further forward than your toes, and straight line from head down to heel up. That gives us the stretch in the calf. Now in seated, we extend the foot away, heel down, toes up, sitting tall, and then ease the heel away a little bit more, bringing the toes in, but this knee doesn't lock out, so it's still straight. If I look it out, you'll see the subtle difference. That's a locked knee, that's a softened knee, but I've got the strength, and I've got the stretch into my back of my leg, into my calf. Holding it again for around about 12 to 20 seconds, releasing out, bringing the foot in standing, as many steps as you need to turn to the side in seated. Here we go. It's that ease of the heel, so slightly easing that heel away, bringing the toes in towards you, that brings that stretch into our calf. Again, it's just that 12 to 20 seconds we're looking for. And then once we've done that, release on out. Let's take it into the back of the thigh. So in seated firstly, we're going to go back to that starting position, but then relax your toes down towards the floor. This other leg is bent with the foot flat on the floor. Sit a little bit taller, put your hands on your bent knee, and then hinge forward to feel that stretch down through the back of the thigh. In standing, what we do is if we're using support, we step forward on the leg furthest away, stand a little bit taller, and hinge. Stretches down through the back of the thigh. And what we've done for support-wise, taken the hand slightly forward so that as we hinge forward, our elbow and shoulder, our elbow is backwards, but our shoulder is level with where that support is. Again, holding it for around 12 to 20 seconds, and if you feel it easing off, take a breath in, and as you breathe out, take it a little bit further, push the bum way a little bit more in standing, and seated, hinge a little bit further forward, and just feel that stretch coming back on. And then release out, stepping in. Always important with this, remember not to hold your breath when you're doing this. Change to the other side, so in standing with support, use it to turn into. If you're not using support, then it's exactly the same position. Look, stepping forward, lifting taller and hinging. So what do we do with these hands? Well, we can either put them on the back leg, we can put them on our hips, or we can let them come by the side. We just don't put them on this front leg. And again, if you feel it easy off, breathe in, breathe out, and take it that little bit further. Just try and increase that flexibility. Shoelaces, pants off the floor, that sort of thing. It doesn't have to be pants, it can be anything that's on the floor that you want to pick up. And then from there, release on up, step back in, have a little pedal through those feet. Let's have a little roll of those shoulders, a big deep breath in. And out. And there we are done. That is your 4 p.m. sway and stretch. Have a great evening, everybody. Remember to stay active, keep moving, keep doing stuff, yeah? Keep crowbarring extra activities in as well, and I'll see you at some point during the week. Toodles.